Right, without further ado, it's the member spotlight session. Who have we got today, Louise?
Well, today, I'm not going to do big introductions to everybody because you're going to hear all about them in a minute. So I'm going to ask them just to come on in. We've got Angie Brown, Liz Foxon, and Sue Carne. So come on in, ladies. Let's get chatting.
Come on in. Hello. Very welcome.
Good morning.
Very welcome. Good morning. Liz, you're still on mute. If you'd like to unmute yourself. Sue.
Morning.
I just would like. Good morning. Good morning, Sue. I would just like for you to tell people why we're an international biz hub today.
I'm reporting from sunny Spain this morning. Journey here by car.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Welcome.
Right, ladies, so it's as we've explained, and we'll explain to our audience, this is a really informal chat. Stu and I will bounce the questions back and forth. What we generally do is ask the same question to each one of you in turn. That way we get like a little bit of an idea of how you're doing things differently and where you came from and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to start off with an introduction. So I'd like you to introduce yourself and what your business is. So let's start with you, Sue.
Good morning. Yes, my name's Sue Carne. I have a franchise called Not Just Travel. The clue's in the name. I'm a personal travel consultant, so I help my clients book their perfect holidays, really. So I do all of the research and get them the best value option that I can for them.
Brilliant. And are you an independent, or did you say it was part of a franchise?
Part of a franchise. We're part of the Hayes Travel Group, which I think put themselves on the map when they bought the Thomas Cook shops.
Okay, yes, they did.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the bigger umbrella. So the Hayes Independent Group.
Yeah, were they the husband and wife couple? I think I read about them.
Yes, correct.
Yes, I did. I did. That's it. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. Angie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Angie Brown and I'm a remote-based executive assistant. I work primarily for HR consultants and business coaches.
Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Liz? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Liz Foxon. My business is Coconut Blue. I'm a sole trader, and Coconut Blue is all about beautiful things from far and wide. So I curate lots of small collections of lovely things.
Brilliant. And you have a shop, don't you?
And I have a shop, yes.
Yeah.
So I collaborate. It's a part-time business, and it's a 60-40 relationship, and I've collaborated with two others. So it's a partnership in a shop in Midhurst called Sussex House Boutique.
That was my next question. It's in Midhurst. Brilliant. Right. So now we know your names and what you do briefly. We're going to start digging deeper. Let's go deeper. Right. So my first question, and I'm going to ask you all in turn. Why did you choose the industry or sector or niche that you did? What brought you to it? Why did you choose it? So Liz, let's start with you. Why did you choose the industry?
Okay, this industry is very different for me, retail. I spent 35 years in healthcare. I wanted the next chapter in my life. So in 2016, I left corporate life, and I've got a massive passion for travel. So traveled a lot for a year, and was really looking to do something completely different. So always collecting lots of little treasures and things like that. And by chance on my travels in Morocco, I met two lovely ladies in Marrakesh in a cafe, like you do. And they sort of like kindred spirits said, oh, why don't you think about setting up a little shop? You love traveling, etc. Or we'll help you. So again, collaborating with two lovely ladies who've become really good friends now in Spain. They have a shop in Spain. And so, yes, they've been my mentors and yeah, have helped me sort of set up the business. But through that also, I've started in 2018, so 2 years ago, doing pop-ups and fairs. So I started small to begin with.
Right.
Very, very different world for me.
I know, but it's kind of it's encompassing all the things that you like to do. You like to travel, you like nice things, you like all of that. It's a really lovely way to get into an industry because it's something that you love to do. So it's
and I also wanted a part-time business, and it's a lifestyle change for me. So that was the other thing, was bringing all that sort of passion, colour to other people's lives, sharing it with other people.
That's lovely, and you've got that balance going on as it's part-time, which is really good. Yeah. What about you, Sue? Why did you choose your industry or sector?
Well, way back, I used to be cabin crew, or what we used to call air hostess in those days.
Oh, yeah.
And I sort of really wanted to get back into the travel industry. I had a family, so you know, going back to traveling around the world wasn't going to work for me. And so the next best thing was to send other people traveling around the world. So yeah, that's why I chose. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and it's quite a difficult industry to start up on your own. So joining a franchise just sort of clears all that red tape that's associated with travel in the travel industry.
Right, and because you've obviously travelled a lot, being cabin crew, did you find that because you've been to so many places, it's quite good that you can advise people, etc., in the role that you've got now?
It is, yes, absolutely, very much so. Particularly, sort of, you know, South America was my favourite continent to travel to as cabin crew, and you know, it's a bit more far flung than quite a few people in the UK. Although obviously the world is getting much smaller, but yeah, it definitely helps. It gives you more credibility as well.
Definitely, yeah. You can say, I've been there, I've seen it. It's great. Yeah, that's a really. I mean,
that's one drawback, is that I haven't been everywhere. So
you've got to get travelling too.
I'm working on it.
It's very important, you know. You've got to go. Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Angie? How did you land up in your industry?
Well, I left school in 1983 before some of the members might have even been born, but hey. And I joined up with our local YTS scheme, which was run by Waverley Borough Council. Yes, Stuart, YTS, Youth Training Scheme.
Where I started.
Yeah, £25 a week. I was real chuffed. But we would learn all sorts of different trades. I even learned how to put a window in and putty a window in and paint the walls. But part of the work was to work in offices as well. And I was seconded to Waverley Borough Council offices because I lived in Barncombe, Godalming. So I ended up working and then getting a job in the Chief Executive's office as the assistant to the assistant, if you like.
Okay.
And so she literally taught me a lot of my founding, you know, what I've been doing with the secretarial side, because I didn't know where I wanted to go. And then after 33 years in corporate land, I was doing the last 12 years working as an executive assistant for the Vice President of HR. And our company was called Covidian, which is now Medtronic, because they merged. So it went from 64,000 employees to, 34,000 employees to 65,000.
Wow.
And we knew, because obviously in HR, and it was all part of our strategy work and our project management, that we were going to be made redundant. So I had like 2 years to sort of suss out what I wanted to do. And then I realised that actually there's a market out there for VAs. So when I stepped out with my bag of cash, I got scared and didn't do it. So I went and worked for another employee for 18 months. But in the meantime, set up Angie PA, knowing it was there. And then I worked part-time for that company, and then went full-time myself. So
it's a bit like dipping your toe. Was it a bit like dipping your toe in the water before you fully committed to it?
It's fear. It's fear, because you know I wasn't very good at selling. I didn't know how to, because I'd always been in the back office.
Right.
So yeah, it was fear, but it's okay now.
Yeah. Brilliant. And didn't you recently have an anniversary? Wasn't it 4 years?
4 years, yeah, 1st of July. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well done, Angie. Yeah, so you've all had natural progressions about things that you love doing, and that's what makes it success, right? If you're in a business that you really enjoy, in an industry that you really enjoy. Yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for sharing the insight.
Excellent. So I've got a follow-up question, and I'm going to go back round in a completely random order. Sue, given the experiences that you have, what one piece of advice do you wish you'd been given before you started your business? Is there anything that you think to yourself, if only I'd known that?
There is, although I'm not sure it would have changed my mind, but it really, this business is 24/7, 365 days a year. The times when a client calls you at midnight because they can't find the place that's got the keys to their villa, or at 6 o'clock in the morning because something's wrong with the flight that they're supposed to be getting on, or their taxi hasn't turned up. Yeah, I wish I'd have known, and that would be part of the job.
Right. Yeah, so you're their friend in the airport when things aren't going right, or their travel plans have gone slightly not to schedule. You're the support line that they give a quick call to.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm expected to come up with miracles.
I'm guessing, like with mobile phones and that now, everybody has the phone in their hand. They don't have to hunt around in the airport terminal for a telephone.
No, absolutely. You're literally at the end, the end of a few key presses, aren't you? So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's quite stressful as well. Somebody's standing in an airport and my taxi's not here, I don't know what to do. Or, as I say, I can't find the keys to my villa. I don't know where the keys to your villa are. It's midnight and I was asleep when you rang. But yeah, it's good that they feel they can speak to me. That's the job, really. So
a helping, calming voice from home telling them that it's all going to be all right. That's all you can do sometimes.
Yep.
So Angie, what about yourself? What would you wish to have known before you started your business?
You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. You don't have to wait for that website to be done. You don't need your branding sorted because you don't know who you are. You just don't need any of that stuff. What you need to do is step out of yourself and go networking, meet people, and yeah, your potential clients have been there for 3 or 4 months while you've been sat on your bottom at your computer trying to suss out what's next.
Yeah.
Or join Signal Biz Hub because they'll tell you what to do next.
There you go.
Thank you. That's the kind of go-to attitude that you really do need in business, that it's never going to be perfect. There is always going to be something that you could improve. But if you waste time improving it, your perfect customer is going to go somewhere else. So you might as well just get out there and start talking. And I've never found a barrier that a new potential customer you couldn't overcome. And nobody's ever said, excuse me, but I'm sorry, but your website is a bit rubbish and your logo doesn't look professional. Nobody has ever raised that objection.
Can I just bounce something back to you, Angie? How did you actually overcome your fear? Because you expressed in your previous question that you were scared. How did you overcome that?
It was huge. I went to an all-female networking group.
Okay.
And I stood up. I didn't know that I had to stand up and give a minute. So that already, I stood up and I went, I was completely scared, but they were so lovely and calming. They just helped me through. They said, well, where have you come from? And they just sort of coached me through that. And then I sat down and I just went, that was like the first one done. So, and then it got easier, but I still find it incredibly difficult to walk into a room of people and tell them about me.
I don't think you're alone with that, to be fair.
No.
I think a lot of people have
I found
that.
a lot like it.
Yeah, exactly. Well done. That's really good.
Fabulous. And Liz, for yourself, what piece of advice would you wish somebody had told you before you'd got started?
I think I'd probably echo a little bit the same, similar to Angie. I would have probably would have joined a network earlier, like Signal. So I probably joined a year later, almost 6 months later. So I think it would have helped, even though I had a mentor from my friends in Spain, I think it still would have helped with local. So for me, I actually lived in Australia. So I was still trying to find out who was around, how sort of local worked, community worked, how I could fit into the local community. So I think you've got to start local. To me, you've got to start local. Don't sort of think too big, too fast. And I guess my other piece of advice, don't sweat the small stuff.
And by the way, it's all small stuff.
Because I was in a corporate similar, you just were in this big group. And I guess I was a technical person, so I was a bit of a perfectionist. So this is very different. I've got open slather. So that's the other thing is know what you're able to do in retail. Just really read up and just join as many things as possible and get that sort of background knowledge. I think that was very key. Yeah, if I'd done a little bit more, it would have, I don't know, it probably would have helped with confidence, and not that I lack confidence, but I just confidence in being in retail, I think. Yeah, and being the best, I guess, being the best I can be in retail. Yeah.
That is often the way, though, with small business owners, the transition that you come from a big corp and then you leave that and then you go out on your own. And when you're in the big corporation, like if there's an issue, you just go to that department or that department or that department. But when you're on your own, you are the department. There's nobody to go to. You've got to do it all yourself, which again brings us back to the Biz Hub, because there are people that you can back to.
Yes, yeah. And you need that. You really
definitely, yeah. Brilliant.
You really need.
Oh, that's really good. I'm just going to go specifically on your industry now. And if there is anybody that is specifically wanting to get into your industry, a piece of advice you would give specifically about that. So I'm going to you, Sue, if there was something about your industry, what piece of advice would you give?
Okay, right now I would say don't join the industry. It's been horrendous over the last 3 or 4 months. I can't begin to tell you how bad it's been. Until there's some sort of future proofing in terms of travel, just stay away, sadly, which is very sad, because it's a fantastic industry to be in, but not right now.
What about transferring that? What about having travel in the UK, though? I mean, because we can freely travel here at the minute. Is that something that you're looking at?
Well, yes, we do. I mean, we do sell holidays, and I have done to the UK, and they're definitely on the up. There's an increase there. Yeah. But I think there are a couple of issues here. That then people aren't spending anything like as much money. And obviously when you're running a business, so there has to be a certain level of turnover. Yeah. And B, still things like local lockdowns are a concern. So if you've paid a lot of money to go and spend a week in Cornwall, and then you can't go because they're locked down or you're locked down, it's still an issue. It's not as straightforward as we would really like it to be, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, people are traveling, and I've got, fingers crossed, I've got somebody going to Croatia next week, and that will be my first client going overseas. But again, even that is, Croatia, I read the slight increase in the level of coronavirus there, and so will the government pull that one from us? Don't know, but yeah. I think
is there quite a lot of element of stress, I suppose? You're looking at all the international lockdowns and everything just to see where you can send people and what is actually happening. I mean, probably a lot more than the rest of us, to be fair.
Yeah, it's changing by the minute, sadly. You can't possibly be on top of everything. So, literally a day at a time. A few weeks ago, it was a minute at a time. Everything was changing. But in terms of future bookings, lots of bookings have clearly been cancelled, and trying to get clients' money back or change dates for them when there is no staff because everyone's on furlough because there's no money coming in. It's
very challenging time.
Hugely challenging time.
Well, stay strong, Sue. Stay strong. What about you, Angie? In your industry, what piece of advice would you give to somebody?
Don't start your pricing too low. I've seen so many VAs that start out at £10 an hour or £15 an hour, and it's just not right. It's not fair. They're not valuing themselves at all, and they're just going to attract the wrong type of clients.
Yeah, I suppose with that is that if they go too low, it sort of almost undermines other. If everybody starts going too low, it brings the whole. You've got to elevate things up, haven't you?
It actually can cause a lot of friction with other VAs. They get really upset, and that's why I say it, because I've seen so many get upset about somebody charging £10 when they're actually 25-30, which is the going rate.
Exactly. So yeah, it's very important. I think in all industries, it's really important to get the pricing right and be on a par, because it sort of makes it difficult then for the consumer as to why you're so much higher. People often go low and then get disappointed.
I'll just interject there. There is a strategy where if when you first start, you feel the need to discount the pricing, is to show the discount on the invoice so that the person sees what your hourly rate actually is and what percentage you're willing to give them as a discount, so that that value is baked in there. So when you actually charge them the full amount, there's no surprises. Just a little tip, if you're thinking to yourself, how do I get out of the low price structure? Just show them that actually my hourly rate is £20 an hour and I'm giving you a 25, but you get what you pay for, like in any industry.
Michael's just said in the chat, Angie, I echo that wholeheartedly. So
yeah.
I think everybody's on the same page with that. What about you, Liz? What sort of what piece of advice would you give to somebody in the industry?
Well, retail is taking a real hit on the high street. However, local, maybe we're just don't want to tempt fate, but local, people are shopping local.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we support local, kind of really work on the community spirit. Midhurst Council has just invested in a massive banner, and my lovely mugshot is on it for our shop.
Definitely going to do a drive-by, Liz.
Well, you know, the junction of Hazelmere, Cowdray, there's a whole lot of us that are shopkeepers, you know, shops in Midhurst. Shop local, eat local, support local campaign. So yes, the councils are investing in the town. The shops around us are, I guess, fearful, but at the same time I'm not saying we didn't speak to each other, but we're now collaborating a lot more. We have a Country Bracant event happening next Saturday. So that's a Country Bracant who's very well known. So we are supporting them. So there's a big fair in the square that's going to bring people into town. I know with COVID, so there's going to be 2 of us in the shop manning the shop, because we can't have more than 2 people in the shop, but we can social distance.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for people thinking of starting to retail. Retail will bounce back, and we really need it in the high streets. So I think that if you want to start, then perhaps look at some of the local, support local, maybe even approach a local shop. We actually have pop-ups in our shop. So if you wanted to do a pop-up, you could do a pop-up, have a space in our shop. So that's the other thing. You could start small, to take a small risk.
But that's the key there, isn't it? Well, it comes full circle. It comes around. You've got to collaborate. You know, it's like, collaboration really, really works in any industry across the board. So yeah, it's a really big topic. Thank you for that, Liz. That's really a good piece of advice.
So don't think too big. Yes, you can think big in 5 years, but think what's really important now is really supporting local and also your loyal customers. We've had lots of customers come back. I'm so glad you're back. So the other thing for us, we opened the shop last year. So we've been actually in Midhurst for a year. And I think people thought we would just go, you know, you're going to be here for a year, but we're here. Yeah. So they've come back and they're like, oh, you're staying. So through the bad times, we've struggled, obviously, but with
strong.
Collaborated with landlords and etc. and worked it out how we can stay and support local. Because otherwise you're not going to grow your business if you don't support local. You really, I think you just need to start small.
I think the one thing that this entire thing that we've all been through, lockdown and all the rest of it, has shown us how interconnected all the businesses are. You know, how we need that community. And speaking to business owners outside of any community who've kind of toughed it out and going it alone, they've had a much more difficult time of it than people who have like a community that they can talk to and share the burden with. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Liz. You know, talking and looking at the small local issues and dealing with those things, absolutely right.
And we've been busy. Been busy, so that's good.
That's really good. Right, we need to move on to the next question, ladies. We're running out of time. Go, Stu, you're up.
We've got one from the floor, actually. So I thought we'd use that one. A nice segue into where they are now. So, Angie, what surprised you most about starting a small business? And that comes from Ellie.
What surprised me the most? I think, actually, when you do go out and start... actually, it's more a case of what you don't know, because you actually don't know a lot. You know how to do your job, you know what you want to deliver for your customers, but you don't know how to set up a business. You don't. And don't fool yourself, because you don't. You know, because there are so many other parts of it that I had no clue about, being, you know, just doing that one channel job. And we had departments, like you said before. So it's really important to network and learn from other people. And I know I'm going to plug it again, but obviously to join this Biz Hub or something similar, but obviously this one, because there is so much wealth of information here. You control the internet, but you won't always find what you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Sue, yourself, what surprised you most about starting a small business?
I've run small businesses for quite a long time, and my father ran a small business, so it's sort of something that's sort of deep in me, really. It's not a surprise, but what I love about running a small business is that my time is my own. I hate red tape. I just working for corporates, I just couldn't anymore, because it's just, you know, staff assessments and all of these sorts of things, when you're going to keep a job at the end of the year, and I just love the freedom of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a bad surprise, it can be a nice surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Liz, just quickly, what would you say has surprised you most about running a small business or starting a small business?
I guess the lifestyle change. I mean, for me, it was a massive change. So for me, it's just really staying true to yourself, what your goals are. And mine was always part-time. So don't do too much, because that's not what my intention was really a lifestyle change, was a part-time business. So I think staying true to yourself was a surprise, and being able to keep that balance. Actually, I've managed to keep that balance.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to the networking, Emma has asked specifically, would you recommend to women that they join female-only networking groups, and if so, why? So Angie, let's start with you.
Not necessarily, but for me, I walked into another networking group and I found it really intimidating.
Right.
Because it was my first one, and I'm an introvert and I'm an empath, and I literally just cringed. I couldn't. Yeah. So for me, it worked. It did work, and then now I can go out and go to different organisations. But no, it's not for everybody. No.
Okay. What about you, Sue? About all female networking groups?
No, definitely. I wouldn't recommend them above anything else. I've not really had much success with all female networking groups, to be honest. And the groups themselves don't seem to be very successful locally. To me, they seem to be very, very small. I prefer a mix. I think I always have done. I think it's always good to have a mix.
Okay. And what about you, Liz? Very quickly, let's just see about networking.
Yes, I think the same as Sue. I've always had mixed. I think you need to have that mixed group. I don't know, with sort of, I guess, female groups, they're good for certain things, I think, especially retail, you know, especially if your niche is well, ours is clothing and accessories, so you really want to find out what women's trends are, but it's you know, you also mustn't forget men because they often buy for women, so it's that sort of all round. Yeah, I would tend to have a mixed, personally.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. We'll keep looking at questions coming in, but let's go on to our next question that we've got, Stu.
Yes, so Liz, come straight back to you. Describe a typical day in your business. Is there a typical day in your business?
No, there's no typical day in the business.
That answers that then.
Moving right along.
No, actually, having said that, Monday our shop, so the shop is 60-40, so I tend to do 2 days in the shop out of the 5 trade days. So usually Mondays the shop is normally closed, so Monday at least half the day I would sort of do admin, orders, anything else that needs to be done is slotted into a morning or an afternoon. It's really flexible, and that's the joy of being a sole trader, I suppose. Typical day in the shop, it can be busy or it's not busy, but it's now with COVID, it's cleaning as soon as you get in. It's all those things, making sure everything is safe, nothing's, you know, the signs, all, you know, it's really fastidious at the moment. Things that are quarantined are back in, etc., back in the racks, because we do lots of clothes. So our shop is Still and Bill do loads of Italian clothes and accessories, and I do lots of caftans, dresses, beach towels, all those sort of things. There's lots of touch points in the shop, so a lot of it's cleaning at the moment.
Cleaning, yeah, I can imagine.
And you know, I also do odd fairs, and they are starting up again in September. Well, we hope, we just don't know, but there is a predicted one. I'll be doing a garden show in so that would be slightly different. So there isn't a typical day, no.
What about you,
I take things to do in the shop. I take extra things to do and read.
Keep yourself busy.
Yes, or I'll shut the door one day, you know, I might shut the door for 5 minutes and walk round and see somebody around the corner, one of the other shopkeepers.
Oh, okay, so fairly flexible but busy.
Yes, at the moment we're busy. So since we've opened the doors after, you know, lockdown, the shop has actually been busy. Yesterday, last night I was exhausted. Today I was like, I'm tired.
Angie, what about you? Is there a typical day in your business?
Sometimes there is. I always start the day with my list of things to do, which I write the night before, and I always hope that they go to plan. But that's not always the case, because quite a lot of the job is reactive, not necessarily proactive. But I do have set days with clients where I have to be on live webinars with them to moderate and things like that. So there are set days of doing tasks for clients, yeah.
Excellent. And Sue, what about yourself?
Yep, like Angie, I always have a list of things that have to be completed that day. There isn't necessarily a typical day, which is what I love about my job, but I tend to be pre-COVID, so talking to clients, you know, taking new inquiries, researching hotels and holidays for them, looking after clients who've got holidays booked, so making sure that all the admin stuff is done and that they know they've got what they need when they need it. Some constant contact with clients, you know, updating them on what's happening with their holiday, particularly at the moment. A typical day now, sadly, is chasing refunds for my clients and trying to get them rebooked at future dates. So yeah, the job has changed considerably over the last couple of months, as I think I've already said.
Yeah. Okay, we've had a question from Joe Little, who's actually a visitor with us here today. And he's asking, what's the best advice you got from the Business Hub? So let's start with you, Angie. What's the best? This is an ad hoc question, not on list.
I actually know Joe, so hi, Joe.
Be prepared.
What I would say, there's actually, I can't just say there's one, because since I've started in January time, I've attended all of the masterminds, and I can't tell you how much information I get from that, and how much help I get from that, and how much butt kicking I get from that I need. So and every month there's something of value to learn for your business. You get a worksheet to work through. The collaboration has been fantastic. The sales pricing was fantastic. In fact, it's all good. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a complete worth the money, even though they've discounted massively during COVID to help us as well. That's huge, and I really appreciate that.
Brilliant, thank you. What about you, Sue?
Yeah, I echo what Angie says. There's just so much new information, so much helpful information in sort of pushing the business forward, and you know, just ideas, talking to other people, particularly when we were actually meeting in person. It's been absolutely invaluable.
Brilliant, thank you. And what about you, Liz?
I found the hub, it is invaluable, because whilst I had a mentor and sort of had to begin with, you need that, I would say, back end. You need all the other information, and also it's a collaboration more than anything else. I met a lovely lady. I don't know whether she's on. I don't know whether she's here today. Sue from Tatty Goose.
Yeah, I think she is. I saw it. Yeah, she is.
Yes,
in the room. Sue's in the room.
So Sue and I have collaborated and done a couple of fairs together, and that's been fantastic. So yes, it provides lots of different opportunities, and you meet lots of different people and just lots of different viewpoints. I think you can't be, again, in your little bubble. It's really important to sort of open your mind, and as Emma said, you can't do everything yourself. you've got to have, which I actually do find a challenge because I like to do, but you need to help and support. So that, I think that's what more than anything Signal does do, is that sort of knowing there's that help. Not all, I don't always ask for it on something personal that I need to do, but I think just knowing that you have a group of people that are supportive, I just think that's invaluable, to be honest.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. Let's just go on to, we're running a little short of time, so I'm just going to shimmy onto the future, and I just want to ask you all, and if you could keep it brief, but what are some of your life goals? Because sometimes when we're in business, we talk all about, but we've also got life goals. We have a life as well. So I'm just going to bounce that one round. What about you? Let's start with you, Sue. What are some of your life goals?
Right now, I'm sort of looking forward to my retirement, which will probably be in 3 or 4 years' time. And it won't come as any surprise to anyone when I say I'd like to travel a bit more once I'm retired, when I'm not required 24/7. For example, it would be really difficult for me to go to Australia right now because the timing's just out when clients do need me, or even, you know, for inquiries. So it's always going to be travel related, I'm afraid.
Oh, brilliant. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid. I think it's really good. What about you, Liz? What are some of your life goals?
Similar to Sue, it's lifestyle for me. I was sort of heading towards retirement, but just not ready for it. And I didn't want to dip into savings. So I just thought I really need something to keep my mind going, and also sort of be part of the community. I think that was a big thing for me. How do I integrate myself back into the community, having moved from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and just all those sort of things, and also collaborating with Sun and Bill, who just been amazing. And I think that's just a great partnership which just works really well. So I guess the next 5 years I'd still like to be having a part-time business. And still learning just about products and product mix. That's my big challenge at the moment, you know, getting it right or better.
Brilliant. Thank you. And finally, Angie.
I think for me, I'd like to be able to go on holiday without my laptop. So I would like to also utilise some of my team of VAs that I have in my Facebook group that I've created, and perhaps bring them on as associates if things get busy, so that I can take some time out.
Yeah, that's really important, isn't it? We've all got to remember that, don't we? Remember to take time out.
Absolutely, yeah. So what a fascinating insight into your business, ladies. Just really interesting to see how all those different businesses are working, how you got into them. A fantastic session. Just really, really insightful. I love these sessions. It's like having a real chin wag.
It's really interesting, and it's what we do say at the Hub. It's really interesting that you're all from completely different businesses, yet the foundations are all exactly the same. And that is the beauty of sharing this, is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you're doing, you will have something in common with somebody else within your environment. So it's always interesting to highlight that, well, certainly for me anyway, to hear that it's the foundations are the same. So it was lovely to talk to you all today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm not sure if you've got any other questions. Let me just check.
I love the fact that obviously we have some pre-prepared questions to ask you, but that the attendees were so engaged, sending us those questions and asking those questions. That sometimes it's fascinating to see how those questions develop and what they're saying. So if you sent in a question, thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them in the Q&A, but we'll follow up with the people and maybe send them the questions and they can answer them in their own time, maybe on Facebook or something. Gareth, make a note of all of those questions immediately. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your morning, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your time in Spain, Sue. We're very jealous.
Thank you.
How long are you there for?
I leave on the 28th, flying home, so that'll be an interesting experience.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good. And Sue, I keep meaning to say, I love all the baskets in the background.
Oh,
Liz. I'm sorry, Liz. I'm reading Sue, but I'm looking at you. They look amazing, all the baskets. Really good.
Well, it's all that colour.
I
Natural.
am the proud owner of one, I have to say. I'm very excited.
That's right.
All,
Louise has a basket.
I do. I use it all the time. Good. Okay, our time is done, I think.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just about to share my screen, so do bear with us.
And we'll see you in the second session, ladies. I'm hoping that you'll come and join us in the second session.
Yes,
Yep.
Second session is now coming up. We're going to end this session. Look in your inbox. You should have a link. If you don't have a link, please notify Gareth immediately, and he'll make sure that you get one. We're off. We're going to make a quick cup of tea, cup of coffee, and we'll be back in 10 minutes into the meeting where we will be looking at ways to collaborate and having some one-to-ones. So do come back for that. If you can't, then thank you very much for joining us, but we hope that we'll see you in the next session. Thanks very much, people. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.